So, Steve, you and I have both worked with, and this isn't a freshly repaved, but when you have a newly paved racetrack or a fresh repave, and you have these tires, these hard tires, and this type of surface, you have tons of grip right up until the second that you don't.
Right.
At older racetracks and softer tires, the car speaks to you. I'm a little loose. I'm a little loose. At this type of racetrack, you're good and right until the time you're not. It doesn't talk to you the same way. And so what's so difficult about Michigan or a repave is that you're going so fast that you're operating on that edge of the limit. And when you no longer have that grip, it just goes away instantaneously. And that's what you saw in both of these wrecks, is that they didn't wiggle a little bit. They didn't get a little bit out of shape. They were gone, and it goes that quickly. The only way to make lap time, though, is to push. You have to push, and you have to be on that edge, and that's why it's so difficult at this type of racetrack.
So, Stevie, I've been fortunate enough to spend quite a bit of time in your old home at Hendrick Motorsports. Many times I've seen how meticulous all of the employees are. When you were there as a crew chief, Chad, the place you could eat your meal off the floor, it's amazing. Every same effort goes into building every car. So what is the difference, Jeff, from a driver's standpoint when you go to a backup car? What is it like going to a backup car as a crew chief?
Well, I think the concern you have at this point of the season, with 4 races until the playoffs, with a team like Jimmy Johnson that is in the playoffs, what has the approach been? And so while everyone looks at Hendrick Motorsports as endless resources, that's not true. Nothing is endless. So Chad has to make decisions as he prepares cars for the playoffs where that inventory is going to come from. So what I mean is that a fresh backup car? Is that an up-to-date backup car? Or is it an older car that is kind of just taking that spot in the trailer as they prepare that inventory for the playoffs? So, you know, we're going to have to go down. I'll go down this afternoon, have that conversation with Chad. Of course, he's never going to tell us that they're unprepared, because that would be unfair to the sponsor, and I would never expect that to come out from that organization. But there are cars that you feel really good about unloading, and then cars that you're a little disappointed to unload. And we'll have to see where they are in their inventory. But this car right here, I'm hoping they don't have this slated to run any time in the future, because I'm not sure this one's fixable.
Do you think any different when you go to a backup car as a driver?
No, not if you're one of these major organizations. I mean, if you're driving for one of these major organizations, you assume that car is ready to go. Now, the problem is you may have had a recent update. Like the team may have found something in the wind tunnel that didn't get time to get incorporated, but only in this one car. And those are the kind of things that sometimes the driver isn't privy to for a reason. So, but you have to assume that car right there is going to be as good as the one you just wrecked. And we saw Jimmy get on the cart going to the infield care center. That's a NASCAR policy now.
It's mandatory.
You're gonna go to the infield care center.
So listen, anybody but Jimmy Johnson, I'd be talking about how he now has to start last. But for some reason, Jimmy Johnson, this 48 starting last, is not a disadvantage. You know, 3 of his last 4 wins came from starting at the rear of the field, either from penalty or other issues. So it seems like they go to the back. They don't lose focus, and they can grind their way through and still find a way to get to victory lane.